Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. We're just going to give it probably 2 more minutes and then get started at about 12:03. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm sure more people will continue to trickle in. But hello, it's lovely to see you all here today, and thank you for attending our OPA's webinar today in partnership with Yellow Brick House, titled Beauty as a Bridge: How Hairstylists Can Support Victims of Domestic Violence. We hope you're looking forward to learning together today. So just to begin, I'm just going to go over a few Zoom house rules. So please keep yourself on mute if you're not actively talking so as to not disrupt the presentation. We are recording this webinar, so it will be posted on our YouTube channel within a few days. And if you have a question, please just put it in the chat or put your hand up and we'll answer it at the end of the call during the Q&A portion. And of course, any questions we don't have time to answer, we can also answer via email, so we will get to everything. So to begin, I'd like to introduce Yellow Brick House. So they are an organization that provides life-saving services and prevention programs to meet the diverse needs of individuals, families, and communities impacted by violence. Since 1978, Yellow Brick House has been one of the leading providers in Ontario of services to women and children escaping domestic violence and abuse, serving 5,000 women and children annually. So it's really an incredible organization. We're very excited for everyone to be able to learn more about their initiatives and what they do. And it's now my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today. So I'll start with Pamela DeVoe. So educated as an event and fundraiser planner, Pamela DeVoe is the manager of fund development for Yellow Brick House. In November 2020, she joined the Yellow Brick House family. She has a passion for using her professional skills to create awareness for women escaping domestic violence. Pamela's goal is to empower others to share their voice to break the silence on domestic violence. Our second speaker her name is Farron Lansdowne. She is a public education facilitator at Yellow Brick House with years of facilitation experience in the academic setting. She has taken on various projects at York University's Center for Sexual Violence and local school boards to provide critical information to youth. Through these projects, she has developed an interest in topics of gender-based violence and exploring healthy relationships. As a speaker, she hopes to take what she has learned to audiences and facilitate conversations to reduce harm and address prevention issues. And last but not least is Veronica Pava. She has served as the development officer at Yellow Brick House for over 2 years now. Expertise in public speaking across various initiatives. She is passionate about experiencing domestic violence and abuse. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to them, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say.
Welcome, everyone, to Beauty is a Bridge. Thank you so much, Katie, for those introductions. As you mentioned, I'd like to welcome you to our Empower Her webinar. I'm Pamela DeVoe, the Manager of Fund Development, and join me today is my colleagues, Veronica Paville, the Development Officer, and Farron Lansdale, who is our Public Education Facilitator. Today's agenda focuses on topics of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, services offered by Yellow Brick House, and an impact on you as the beauty industry professionals and your workplaces. We want to provide you with resources that are available that you and your employees can that are impacted by intimate partner violence.
Hi everyone. So before we share some information about Yellow Brick House, I wanted to shed some light on the prevalence of domestic violence in Canada. So a big myth around domestic violence is that it happens only to a small group of women, but sadly it affects women across all ages, socioeconomic backgrounds, and cultural backgrounds. So some of the information that we're going to be sharing in this presentation today can be a little bit heavy, but if we didn't share about this, then we wouldn't be able to break the silence on domestic violence and create change. So just keep in mind, if you need to take a breather at any point during this presentation, please do. And if you need to speak with a counselor afterwards to debrief, please call our crisis and support line at 1-800-263-3247. So given the stats up on the screen here, we can easily deduce that we all know at least one woman who's been abused or violated. During this half-hour webinar, 5 women will have been attacked in Canada. And it's important to keep in mind that domestic violence doesn't only impact women, it also impacts children who are living in violent homes.
The UN reported in June of 2019 said that the mostly dangerous place for a woman is when she when she leaves her home. Over 55,000 women are killed at home worldwide. Narrowing it down to Canada, in pre-pandemic, a woman was likely killed every 6 days as a result of intimate partner violence. In Ontario, a woman is killed every 2 days. The stats have tragically grown. In fact, we lost 62 women in Ontario in 2020-24. That's more than one woman or child killed per week as a direct result of intimate partner violence.
So up on the screen here, you can see our mission and vision that we strive for. And listed are our 4 core programs and services. The first 3 which fall under intervention, and the last one falls under prevention. So our 24/7 crisis and support line is often the first point of contact for anyone wishing to access our services. Once they call, they don't have to give their name if they choose, because all of our services are completely confidential and free. We can provide them with all the options they need to begin rebuilding their lives. If they feel unsafe, we can arrange to have them stay at our shelter and provide them with a safety plan to follow to ensure the safety of them and their children as they plan their escape. Our shelters are located in confidential locations, and if we happen to be full, then we will refer our clients to similar services at an alternative location in Ontario. Next up, we have our community counseling and support services, which are offered to women who aren't necessarily staying in our shelter, but maybe living with family or couch surfing with friends. Each service is designed to help survivors address trauma and connect with community resource, offer support through groups, and help to find and maintain housing. We also offer immigration coordination, as we found that some of the women who are staying in our shelters were being prevented from accessing long-term secure housing because they didn't have permanent residency in Canada. And so our immigration coordination program was born. For women seeking legal separation or even legal support with criminal matters, we also have our family court support program. Finally, we offer both individual and group counseling for children, teens, and youth experiencing violence or who are witnesses to violence.
And finally, we have our public education program. If we want a future where the reality of abuse is no longer the case, we need to be talking to the youth, to young people. So we have our Schools for Change program, where we go into schools and we introduce the topics of consent, respect, red flags to watch out for. Okay, and we talk to students from grade 6 to 12. And then we also provide workplace training for employees to educate them on their rights and responsibilities in the workplace.
So this is the signal for help created by the Canadian Women's Foundation during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's to help those who are experiencing gender-based violence who may be trapped at home with their abuser. It's a simple one-handed gesture that someone can use without leaving a digital trace to communicate that they need someone to safely check in and support them. And so it looks like this. And if you ever see somebody doing this signal, please reach out to them safely, be supportive, and acknowledge their experience. Listen and let them tell you what they need. You can also refer them to services or resources such as Yellow Brick House as needed.
Next, we want to show a survivor story. Heather
Let's go.
Heather is an incredible volunteer who has participated in our Empower Her campaign. Heather lost her sister, Wendy, to domestic violence, and Wendy was a hairstylist at First Choice Haircutters. She had been in contact with Yellow Brick House to host a fundraiser in support of our services, but unfortunately, we believe that that may have been her first point of contact in her call for help. She never disclosed to us that she was experiencing and didn't require our services at that time. If any point of this presentation is upsetting or triggering in any ways, please feel free to pause and step away or skip entirely.
My sister's name was Wendy. She was my baby sister. And she was separated from her husband. And at the time, her son was 16. And then she had a daughter, Victoria was 7, and Jesse was 3. Their relationship seemed to be pretty good, but he did have a bad temper. But I think that she hid a lot of it. I wish I knew a lot more about domestic violence. There was lots of little things that now that I'm educated about domestic violence, that would have, I think, made us fight a lot harder and try to get her out of it. He killed my sister, and then he went into the bedroom where the 2 little ones slept and did the same. The impact of the tragedy on our family, I can't even begin. It has torn our family apart. I encourage anybody to call the Yellow Brick House. Calling the crisis support line could potentially save your life.
So this video raises the issue that many people wish they knew more about domestic violence because they believe that if they knew more, they might have been able to prevent the harm from happening. So today gives us an opportunity to learn more, to ask questions, and I invite everyone to do so. So I want to give you all a working definition of what abuse is. We at Yellow Brick House use the definition that abuse is any behavior or action that is used to scare, to harm, threaten, control, intimidate, or injure another person. Okay, and what's really important here is how a certain individual feels after an interaction. It's not what the abuser claims their intention to be, because they're never going to admit that they wanted to scare or intimidate you. This is really how you feel. And it could be different for every individual. What scares someone may not be scary to another person. So what's important is your feeling, and that's what we should be acting on. We like to break abuse down into 7 different types. Okay, and the types of abuse often overlap. There's very rarely just one present. We like to break them down because sometimes people feel empowered to put a name to what's happening to them. The first type of abuse, and the one people most commonly think of when we talk about domestic violence, is physical abuse. Hitting, pushing, hair pulling, breaking things. These are all signs of physical abuse. But the issue is that domestic violence does not begin or end with physical abuse. There is emotional and psychological abuse. This is where the partner insults the other partner. They are condescending. They're making them second guess everything they say to break down their self-esteem until eventually they don't want to share their thoughts anymore. They don't want to, say something because they're worried it could spark an argument. So they stop talking altogether. Okay. There's also social abuse. This is where a partner will isolate their partner from their friends, from their family, and they do this so that the person who is being abused has no one to rely on but the abuser. So that when things take an unhealthy turn, that they don't feel like they have the ability to reach out to these support systems anymore. There's sexual abuse, which is where this could be actions taken such as rape or assault, but it's also sexist attitudes. Okay? There's economical and financial abuse, and this is very controlling. We see it very often, and mostly in marriage relationships because it's legally a bit easier to control finances in a marriage, but we see it in dating relationships as well. And it's where one partner controls the finances. And they might do this by not letting their partner work at all, or if their partner does work, they control where the money goes. And this is very controlling because not having access to money means you don't have gas money to drive us somewhere. You don't have the bus fare to leave if you wanted to. You know that if leaving your partner is the choice between being in an abusive situation or being homeless. And for individuals with children, they're not just making that choice for themselves anymore, they're making it for their children as well. So it's a very hard decision and it's very controlling. There's spiritual abuse, where one partner may not allow their partner to act out their moral beliefs, whether that's religious or other spiritual beliefs. They're not allowing them to practice them to their fullest, or perhaps they're forcing them to practice things that they do not wish to. Okay. And then there's also stalking and harassment. And this is where the partner wants to know where you are, who you're with all the time. Okay. And it often starts small where you may not even realize that they're watching your movements, but eventually it escalates until you're not sure when you do have privacy and you start to worry for your safety and the safety of those around you. And the question becomes, why do people abuse others? I mean, we all know it's wrong. I'm sure everyone on this call agrees it's wrong. If I were to ask a person who abuses if hurting another person is wrong, they would say yes as well. Of course it's wrong. And it's because violence comes back to power and control. A person who is abusing another person uses the constant threat of violence to get to dominate their person they're abusing. And they use a lot of tools. This reel has some of the tools they use here, but they use things like denying. If a person brings up their behavior, they say, I did this because you made me frustrated. Or if they're bringing up a time where a person was upset and what they did was wrong, they say that the person who is being abused is taking things too seriously, that it's just a joke. Okay, all these things, no matter how small it might seem, feed into the power and control that an abusive person uses. So The salon is kind of a unique environment because it's where many people share personal stories, and it's not uncommon for people to talk about their problems, no matter how small or how big they are. So, recognizing signs that someone may be facing abuse allows us to connect them with life-saving services. So, by listening to their stories and taking what they're saying seriously and understanding red flags, you could provide them with life-saving services. But it's important to realize, even as we are talking about common signs of abuse and what to watch out for, is that every individual is different, and every example of abuse is going to be unique in its own right. So while some signs might be clear, there's also going to be so many other signs that we're not discussing today that might be a sign. Okay, so there's so many unique things to watch out for. So every experience of abuse is different and every person is different. It's important to keep that in mind when you're going forward with customers. So there are signs of domestic violence, like I mentioned, that you can watch out for. These are common things that we see. They might not be present in every single instance, but we see them in many. So for your employees, for your colleagues, you might want to watch out for decline in the quality of their work. Maybe they're not paying close attention to things to small details. Maybe they're being late or no-showing a lot more frequently, or they have less enthusiasm. They're not excited to see clients they used to be happy to see. They're not, laughing and talking in the morning with you anymore as you're getting ready. They may ask for special accommodations like leaving work early, and they might express fear of losing their job. Okay. And then there's things like social behavior, and this could be with your colleagues or this could be with clients. And it's maybe they're appearing isolated, withdrawn, they're not chatting. They might have unexplained injuries or inappropriate clothing for the season. Maybe they're showing up with bruises and they keep giving you excuses that they're just so clumsy. They might ask for hairstyles that cover part of their face so that they can more easily hide bruises. They might make last-minute cancellations because something happened at home. If their partner is there and they're excessively monitoring what's happening, maybe they're not leaving their partner's side because they're not wanting to give their partner a chance to talk in private, because that could be a chance to ask for help. If a client's having unexplained financial difficulties, this could be a sign that their partner's cutting them off from access to money. They might behave differently than usual. Maybe this person has always been quiet and suddenly they're talking a lot more. This could be a red flag. And they might turn to drugs and alcohol to cope with the violence at home. And now it's important to realize that none of these behaviors could definitely means that abuse is happening, but it does mean that this is a time to ask more questions and approach the situation with empathy and concern. So in the specific context that the person experiencing abuse is our colleague, we could see things that escalate. That means the abuse is escalating if their partner is showing up unannounced at the workplace. This could be because their partner doesn't trust them when they say they're going to work. So they're showing up unannounced to double check that their partner is actually at work. This is a very controlling behavior because it shows that they're not trusting their partner. They might spread lies about the employee, saying, "Oh, my partner, they're just so clumsy. They walk into every piece of furniture. She's tripping down the stairs all the time," trying to mislead you about your colleague. They may cause damage to the salon or the employee's property in an attempt to intimidate not only the abuser, but also her colleagues, right? To make sure that they second guess before they offer that helping hand because they've seen the violence that their partner could enforce on them. Monitoring and surveillance, if they're constantly checking their phone, they're worried about their partner reaching out to them. They're worried about missing a text or missing a call. And if their partner is constantly picking them up and taking them home from work, this could be a sign that there is controlling behavior happening. So it's important to talk to your clients. If you see something like this happening, take them to a private and safe space where you can have this conversation without having to be interrupted rush. I know when we're talking to people and they're explaining their difficulties for us, it's really hard because our first instincts are usually to either reassure them that things will get better, or we might swing in the opposite direction and go and condemn the abuser. Say, oh my gosh, what a loser. You deserve better. And it's really important to refrain from that personal kind of advice, although it's our first instinct, because we never know the full story. And by giving them advice, we could be putting them in more harm. The best thing you can do is to connect them with professionals, give them resources to reach out to, reassure them that the people around them want to help, they care, and that there are ways for this to get better, that they're not alone. Okay? That's the best thing you could do for someone who you are worried about.
Thank you, Farron, for sharing all of that really helpful information. And hopefully, everyone is feeling more confident about offering support now that you better understand what domestic violence and abuse are and what they can look like. Hopefully, you are more able to know what to do if you encounter a client, friend, or coworker who's going through this experience. One key resource is our 24/7 crisis and support line. And so it provides immediate support with interpretation available in over 30 languages. If someone is facing a challenging situation or questioning a relationship or needs help safety planning, they can call us at any time at 1-800-263-3247. Our trained counselors are really there to listen, offer guidance, and provide resources. We also understand that in times of crisis, individuals may feel isolated and hopeless, which is why we created these small hope cards that can be mailed out to your business. They feature uplifting quotes and discreet ways to seek help, and they can be distributed to anyone in need and serve as a gentle reminder that support is always available, and encourage individuals to reach out when they need assistance. However, it is important to keep in mind that these cards were created to protect victims of abuse. They don't list Yellow Brick House's name anywhere on them.
This kind feels more like.
And this is so that a woman can easily carry it with her without her partner knowing what it's to be used for. So on the back of the card, there's a barcode, and our phone number is embedded into the barcode in a very discreet way so that she can call us at any time without anybody suspecting that she's planning an escape. It's important to keep in mind that these cards should be kept confidential and only shared with someone who you suspect needs support, in order to protect all of those who have a Hope card currently in their possession.
Additionally, our website acts as a central hub for accessing guides and tools, ensuring that individuals can find the support they need in one convenient location. Under the Get Help section, individuals can find a range of guides and tools to assist them. One of these resources is a guide called A Friend in Need, What Can You Do? This guide provides practical advice on how to support someone facing abuse in various stages, including domestic environments, workplaces, and dating relationships. For those seeking assistance in leaving a dangerous situation, this is a drop-down, also offers a safety plan template. This template guides individuals through creating a personalized plan to ensure a safe exit strategy. It covers important aspects such as securing essential documents and finding a safe place to stay. We also recognize the importance of digital safety in the modern world. We're actually aware of how abusers exploit digital tools to harm their victims. For this example, tracking their location, stalking, harassment, and invading their privacy. This is why our website provides resources on the internet and telephone safety, offering them tips how to clear their internet browser history and what phone systems are secure.
Thank you. So we talked now about how to best support our clients. And it's very important. I think that's the main reason a lot of you joined this webinar. But it's also important to support people experiencing the violence through the second hand. So through hearing clients' stories and witnessing physical signs. This can, by repeated exposure to these stories, to these signs of abuse, we experience something called vicarious trauma. Now, vicarious trauma refers to the indirect trauma that can occur by being exposed to secondhand stories or disturbing images, okay? So it's important to realize that, yes, we're hearing people talk about really hard situations and we want to help them, but the only way we can help others is by making sure that we're also taking care of ourselves. And having vicarious trauma is a toll on our mental health. So I'm going to give you all some tips to watch out for your individual warning signs and also how to watch out for your colleagues. So things you can watch out for in the workplace is someone might be experiencing vicarious trauma if they're absent a lot from work all of a sudden. Perhaps they're showing signs of being overworked. Maybe they're really irritable, they're snapping, they're not willing to talk, and if you make a mistake where they would have had patience before, they're really quick to yell or snap now. They might be showing signs of exhaustion, sighing a lot, showing that they have a lot on their mind. Personally, they might see a lot of dissatisfaction. They're not happy with the work they're doing, even if it's the same quality as before, they're being more critical with themselves. They might swing the other way and show a lack of interest in caring. This is their way of distancing themselves from an emotional toll on themselves and saying, I can't connect anymore, so I'm just not going to. And they might be worried about not doing enough. If you're repeatedly having exposure to people's difficult stories and the thing you're doing is the best thing, you're connecting them to resources, it can still feel really frustrating to know that, yeah, I'm connecting them, but what if they don't reach out? What if they stay in this situation? That can have a real mental toll on you. Interpersonally, if staff are experiencing vicarious trauma, you might see more conflict between them. It kind of goes back to the irritability and exhaustion. They're not willing to work nicely together anymore. They're not having that communication they need to be an exemplary team. They might have poor communication. They're not talking like they used to. They're not sharing their thoughts like they used to. They might have impatience, and this is with each other and as well as with clients. And they might avoid working with clients with trauma histories. They might try to pass off clients because they know that they're going to hear something they're not ready for that day. What you might see in their job performance is low motivation. Maybe this was a really driven person before, taking on clients, working after hours, constantly searching for new information and ways to get better. And you might see that disappear if they're experiencing vicarious trauma. They have decreased qualities. So they're making more errors, they're making mistakes, they're not paying attention. They might also show they might swing towards perfectionism. So they're paying attention to every detail so much so that it's impeding their work. And they might have a lack of flexibility. Sometimes when people are experiencing vicarious trauma, they overly rely on their routine as a source of comfort. And when that routine is interrupted, it can cause an emotional explosion. Personal symptoms of vicarious trauma. So these are things that you could listen to in your own body, things that you need to watch out for yourself. So you might be having sleep disturbances. So this can mean what you heard from the day or before is keeping you up at night. Or maybe you're different and now you sleep a lot because sleeping is when you don't have to think about what that person told you. You might have an appetite change. Maybe you're not eating anymore, or maybe you're eating a lot more than you used to as a way to cope. You might be hypervigilant, always looking out, always watching, not being able to be calm in the workplace anymore. And there's other negative coping, like smoking and drinking, because these are common ways to deal with disturbing matter. Ways that you could be showing vicarious trauma cognitively is you have trouble concentrating. You cannot, sit down to read anymore or enjoy that those cooking if you used to enjoy cooking. Things you used to enjoy are hard to enjoy now. And you also may try to minimize what you're going through. Oftentimes, people who are experiencing vicarious trauma try to write it off as, well, I didn't go through anything horrible. People are just telling me about it and I'm a witness. Well, that's also really taxing on a person, and it's easy to try to write it off as not important, but it is important. You might be having physical symptoms. So you might have panic attacks, which is like sweating, your heartbeat is going super fast. You might even experience difficulty breathing. It can feel like you're suffocating. If you have aches and pains, you feel like you're constantly on the edge of a cold, this could be a sign that, constant stress is taking a toll on your body, and it's important to listen to that. And then emotionally, you might be feeling helpless and powerless, that you're not doing more, that you're not taking more action. You might also swing towards numbness, knowing that you're frustrated and constantly feeling that stress. Sometimes the people find it helpful to just stop paying attention to their emotions altogether. You might be oversensitive. So things that didn't make you cry before, now you're watching a sad puppy commercial and you're sobbing all of a sudden. You know, and you also have a lot of fear, knowing that these people are out here, knowing that even if they don't know you, knowing that you're walking down the street and you could be walking past an abuser, that kind of anxiety is very hard to let go of. And that can lead to depression or sadness. So there are interventions for vicarious trauma. On an individual level, like I mentioned before, it's important to monitor yourself. Eat well, rest, and exercise. Something that I find helpful personally is I like to stick to a routine. And I know when it gets hard to stick to that routine, that if I'm finding I want to sleep more, if I want to eat less or I want to eat more all of a sudden, that breaking routine shows that I need to listen to my body a bit more. Something is a little different right now. And it's important that when you realize that difference, and also as part of your routine, you should be doing self-care, seeking balance, engaging in outside activities, having those hobbies and time you take for yourself. And it's okay to set those professional and personal boundaries, okay? So if you know a client who you know is going to share a really difficult story with you, knowing that you're not in a headspace to listen to this, it's okay to say, I can't listen to this right now. Let me get you someone else. Let me do something else for you. Okay, it's important to take care. On an organizational level, for any managers listening in, something that you can do for your employees is having some time between appointments so that your employee can de-stress, so that they can kind of think through if something emotionally charged happened, think through those emotions and take time to process them, rather than having back-to-back-to-back bookings and having to shove down those emotions. Okay. And another great thing you can do is have those resources available to your employees as well, letting them know that there are community resources out there, like our crisis and support line, that have counselors ready and willing to talk through their vicarious trauma. And it's talking to your employees about vicarious trauma is difficult. So similar to how we talk to clients, we want to be patient and kind and take them to a safe place to talk about this. Approach the conversation with empathy and concern. But it's important to also make sure that you don't make promises you can't keep. If someone is in danger, I know we always want to say to people, whatever you say will stay between us. But if you're worried about someone's safety, you have the responsibility to take steps to make sure that that person is safe, right? So be careful with what you promise the person. Let them have power over the situation, okay? So don't make choices for them. Lay out all their options and let them know that you're going to support them no matter what. And it's hard to take this compassionate approach because, as a person who's trying to talk with a colleague or an employee, you know, like what we said before, they might be making mistakes at work, they might be coming in late. And so it's really easy to approach these conversations with frustration. But it takes time and compassion to understand that there's an issue here, but that you can work through it together.
Thank you so much, Farron. There's other ways that you can support Yellow Brick House, and we thought that we'd share those with you now. So we have our 2 annual events. We have our Celebration of Resilience fundraiser scheduled for Wednesday, May the 7th. It goes from 6 to 10 p.m. at Angus Glen and Golf and Country Club. Fundraiser reception basically features restaurants from the York region, where they'll have stations around the perimeter. We'll have live and silent auction. And we'll also have a survivor speaker talking about the impact and how Yellow Brick House supported her through her journey. We also have our Break the Silence, Step in My Shoes annual walk. This takes place on Sunday, November 2nd in 2025. It also takes place at St. Andrews College in Aurora. And this is a walk that we do in November, which is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And it's an important opportunity for us to come together and align ourselves and create awareness for our services and support victims of violence. Like I mentioned earlier in the very top is we've had last year alone, we lost 64 women and children in Ontario. So I hope that you will consider joining one of these events and helping us raise funds to support Nights of Safety, our shelter program.
So I'm really excited to share with you all one of the primary purposes of our webinar today, which is to share more about our Empower Her campaign. So it's in partnership with OPHA as well as Wella. And we started it up because we know that beauty and wellness businesses often become havens where stories of hardship find a voice. You're the empathetic souls who witness subtle signs and hear whispered struggles, and your role really goes beyond the surface. It's about trust and compassion. By joining Empower Her, your business can transform lives as well as styles, helping provide essential shelter for women and children who are experiencing domestic violence. So please mark your calendars to join us in the month of March for our 2nd annual Empower Her campaign. Our goal is to raise $50,000 in support of Nights of Safety. Registration is free, and participating businesses will receive complimentary training on how to handle disclosures of abuse. So you may be wondering, how does it work? So firstly, you can scan the QR code up on the screen here, which will take you to our Empower Her website. And once you get to the website, you click Salon Registration to register your business and create a fundraising page. Please note that you decide how much you want to donate. It can be a percentage of a specific service. For example, 10% of all haircuts during the month of March will go in support of Yellow Brick House. We're also offering you flexibility because we know that having flexibility is the key to having you join us. Another option is to put out a poster with a QR code at checkout and ask your clients to donate. You can also create an incentive, such as those who donate to our fundraising page for Yellow Brick House will be entered to win a free blowout. Once you've created your page, you will have access to our social media toolkit, where you can access graphics and text to post and share with your community on your social media channels. There, you'll also find a poster with a QR code similar to the one on the screen, and this will take your customers to your fundraising page where they can make additional donations. So be sure to print this poster, and we will also, if you register, send you one by mail as well, and you can put it up at the checkout area of your salon. I am also very excited to share some fantastic news, which is that the Citrine Foundation of Canada will be matching all donations up to $10,000 to support our Empower Her campaign during the month of March. which means that all of your fundraising efforts will be doubled. So if someone donates $5, it will become $10. If somebody donates $50, it will become $100, and so on. And it really is an incredible opportunity to maximize your impact. While we've partnered mostly with hair salons in the past, I wanted to share that this campaign is open to any business, especially those in the women's wellness and beauty industry. So please share the campaign with all of your beauty and wellness professional networks, such as spas, lash artists, nail artists, and estheticians. Together, we can promote awareness about an issue that affects so many women in our community. For a limited time only today, if you register to join Empower Her, you will be entered to win a $100 Shoppers Drug Mart gift card. So go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen or visit www.empowerher.raisleysite.com/sign up to register now. Those who join will have their businesses featured on the Yellow Brick House website and social media channels, and we'll encourage our donors and supporters to book with you at your salon during the month of March. It takes only a few minutes to create your fundraising page, and we'd really love to have you a part of this campaign, raising awareness for women and children in our community who are experiencing domestic violence.
Before we go, we'd also like to take a moment to address some of the most frequently asked questions. First, do you have to live in York Region to access services from Yellow Brick House? No, you do not need to live in York Region. While our mandate is providing services to York Region, we accept individuals escaping abuse from all over Ontario and even across Canada. Second questions. What items are we most in need of? Financial donations are always the most needed ask, as we're not fully funded by the government. A very second close would be gift cards, because gift cards gives to the woman the power to choose what they need when they need it. We also have a list of urgent need items that are listed on our website.
Some people also ask how they can organize a donation drive for us, and we always tell them to do what works best for them. There's no hard and fast rules about how to run an event in support of Yellow Brick House. We just ask that you connect with our urgent needs list on our website when considering the types of items that you'd like to donate. And remember, all donations must be brand new. If you're looking to support with your drive, you can always connect with our team at supporter@yellowbrickhouse.org. I also shared earlier about the Hope Cards, and you may be wondering if we can provide your salon with some Hope Cards. Yes, we certainly can, but as mentioned, it is extremely important that the status and use of these cards remain secret and confidential. If you would like us to send you some, you can also send an email to supporter@yellowbrickhouse.org so that we can go over the required confidentiality agreement with you.
Lastly, I just really want to make sure that everyone has all of the information that we've gone through. So general inquiries with regards to donations, events, etc., you can call our administrative line at 905-709-0900. Again, crisis and support line. This is for anyone. You could be calling this line for a friend to get advice for yourself. It could be just maybe you had a trigger because you saw your abuser and it ended 6 years ago, but you had a trigger. That crisis and support line is open 24/7. You can call or text to 1-800-263-3247. Our generic email, and this is monitored by a variety of different people on my team, so feel free to email supporter@yellowbrickhouse.org. And we want to know if you're doing things for us. If you want to promote this training that we did today, anything that you want to do on social media, please tag us in. But please note, this is not a typo. There is no I in brick. So it's at Yellow Brick House, but no I in brick. I want to take this time to say thank you on behalf of my team, Veronica and Farron. Thank you very much for having us and listening to us today. We do hope that you have found the training session informative. And if you have any questions whatsoever, we encourage you to reach out to us by email or contact our crisis and service support lines if you were indeed in danger at all.
Hey, thank you all so much. That was very informative and very interesting. So we really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing everything with us. I did want to open it up to a Q&A. If anybody has any questions, I invite you to either put your hand up and say them on audio or put them in the chat, and we will have the amazing team from Yellow Brick House answer them. So I'll just give a few minutes for that before wrapping up.
Also, I will say, Katie, if someone is uncomfortable asking a question, you can also send your questions to supporter@yellowbrickhouse.org with the subject line of today's webinar, and we can address those if someone wants to have more of a general inquiry and not comfortable today. Thank you, Hannah.
Okay, I'll kind of start to close it off, but again, if you guys do have any questions, please put them in the chat. If I'm speaking, we'll take a moment for those. So I just wanted to thank everyone for attending today, as well as our three wonderful presenters. We hope that you found this as informative as we did and really enjoyed learning about this very important topic. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded, so it'll be posted on YouTube within the next few days, and we'll send everyone an email, including those who weren't able to attend live, so you can always watch it back, or if you wanted to rewatch any sections to get more information, you're welcome to do so. We're also excited to let you know that 2 of you who attended live today will be selected to win one bracelet and one scarf. So we'll be selecting those people and contacting you via email to coordinate shipping. They're really lovely, purple colored, of course, to show solidarity. So thank you again, Yellow Brick House, for providing those prizes to the attendees today. Before we go, just one last logistical thing. Here at OPA, we obviously are partly funded by the government for this project, so we are always collecting feedback so that we're able to continue to improve our services. So if you found this webinar informative, and if you felt like it has added to your career and your general knowledge, if you could just let us know in the chat, just a quick yes would be great, just so to help us again reach our KPIs for the government, and it always helps us improve. So I'll just give a moment if everyone could just indicate if they felt that they learned something during this webinar, that would be amazing. And again, thank you very much to everybody. We hope you have a great rest of your day. We do encourage you again to join the Empower Her campaign. If you weren't able to scan the QR code, you can keep an eye out on our social media because we'll be posting it again. And yeah, we hope that you guys do decide to join the initiative. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, for organizing. It was a pleasure working with you guys.